Thank you for your support. Please welcome Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Thank you, first, Michael Emerson, for the determination and resolve that was so necessary to put such a fitting tribute here in our backyard. Thank you also to everyone who assisted Michael in doing that. I also want to thank the Gold Star and Blue Star families who are here today for your sacrifices. For the Blue Star families, we pray for your sons and daughters and brothers and sisters who are serving right now. And the Gold Star families, it's so humbling to be in your presence. Jim and Peggy, still touched that you asked me to speak at James's funeral, and I got a brief glimpse into his life and who he was and who his friends and family are, and think about him all the time. And we miss him dearly, just as we miss every one of our Gold Star soldiers who serve. You look at this memorial, and it's easy to just focus on the gap or the hole in the monument. It kind of reminds you of the gap that is in your heart when you lose somebody who's a family member serving your country. It reminds you of the hole in the community when a soldier doesn't return home. But then you look at the very strong granite around it, and that's the community and the family and the strength that you need to not focus so much, I guess, on the whole, which I can't imagine is very easy. But you have a community who is with you, who is as strong as that granite behind me. And also, we get to look to the service of somebody who's dedicated his life to our country and remembering those who have fallen. It's such an honor to be in the presence of Woody Williams. Woody, thank you so much for coming to Hayward.
Thank you, sir.
A Medal of Honor recipient. I believe, Woody, you're the only living Marine Medal of Honor recipient. Somebody who served our country in Iwo Jima and who bravely saved so many lives fighting over in that war. I had the honor, Woody, of going aboard your ship down in San Diego a couple months ago. Long before I even knew I'd have the chance to meet Woody Williams. Down at a naval yard in San Diego is the USNS Woody Williams, which will be a ship that very soon, I believe it was just commissioned recently, but very soon will be deployed, where Woody's service will forever be remembered, but men and women will serve and toil away the same way that Woody did on behalf of us. It was a true honor to meet the men and women who were working so hard, who were welding that steel and putting it together, and it was a real honor to see your name on the side of that ship.
Thank you, sir.
The best way we can honor Gold Star families is to continue to take care of those who are still with us. I think the memory burns brightest for the Gold Star families in the way and the deeds that we take care of the veterans who are able to come back home. The way that we serve them with the health care that they need, the way that we give them that dignity of work to provide, and the way that we always thank them and their families for their service when we're in their presence. Today is one important way that we're doing that. We're thanking those Gold Star families, but we're also showing a commitment to the Blue Star families and the veterans in our community that we will always honor your service, and we are always eternally grateful. Thank you again so much, Michael. Thank you to the committee that put this together. And good. Thank you to Woody Williams, Medal of Honor recipient.
Thank you, Congressman. It's always nice to have somebody in the government that supports this. As you know, in America, you can't get things done without help from the politicians. So thank you.
Hold up, hold. Step, 3, and a half step. Forward, part. Beautiful sunshine and a purpose to honor those who gave their life to keep us free. This is not about me. This is about them. They're the reason we're here. We're here to honor them for their sacrifice. But also, this is a day in this community that has made history, being the first of the Gold Star family memorial monuments in this great state of California. A history that's coming into existence and is going to have a lasting effect upon the lives of untold number of Americans. Those who sacrificed and those for the first time who can observe a tribute and an honor who have kept us the America that we all want to be. Maybe even perhaps a little freedom for a group of people who have never experienced that gift that others made possible for us. They have never known a freedom like we in America were born into. When I was born, and I think it's true for you too, we were handed two very special gifts that we couldn't earn, we couldn't buy, that somebody else had already paid for. So that when I drew my very first breath, I inherited that freedom that others made possible. My very first breath came as a gift from God. The two most precious gifts that any individual can possibly have. As we pause in the quietness of this moment, Many memories are going through our minds, and our hearts tell us that this memorial is just not a piece of granite. It is a living memorial. Because those who will visit this memorial will maybe for the very first time say to themselves, now my loved one will never be forgotten. And as time goes on and future comes and goes, many will view this memorial in some way, and they will know that their freedom, and maybe the freedom of others, were preserved by those we honor here. As has been said by many of those who gave a son or a father, a husband, a brother, a daughter, an aunt, an uncle, a relative of any degree, they say, maybe audibly, but certainly to themselves, they will not be forgotten. And their sacrifice must not be in vain. A father by the name of Echo Sharkley, in memory of his son Lance Corporal H.D. Hogan, penned these words, and this writing could be about any family who lost a loved one in the armed forces of this great country. He simply entitled it, "My Boy is Home." His words are, the pride you must have felt when you saw him in his uniform. He had followed in your footsteps and wanted to just conform. The war was still a world away, and it was comforting to know you could sleep in peace at night and say, my boy is home. The fear you must have felt the day that he was deployed. After all, this man going into battle was still my little boy, praying day and night for the moment to finally come when you could see him face to face and say, my boy is home. And the pain you must have felt when they came to you that day. No words could bring you comfort. There was nothing left to say. Your heart was shattered and empty in a hell you'd never known. When you realized the chance would never come to say, my boy is home. And the confusion you must have felt when his body arrived that night, back on American soil and far away from the fight. a bittersweet reunion between a father and his son. This wasn't how you wanted to say at last, my boy is home. But the peace you must have felt when he was laid to rest, a fallen hero who gave his all. He died a most honorable death, knowing he sits at the right hand of God and will never again be alone. You can rest easy at night again and say, my boy is home. The American people throughout our history have had those among us who were willing to serve a cause greater than themselves, yet realizing that such service to protect our way of life or to give someone else a life of freedom may require sacrifices honored by this memorial. And there is no substitute for freedom. A gift almost as precious as life itself. They will be remembered. Yet we know this memorial will not ease the pain or the heartache or the grief, but perhaps it will give some peace and solace to those loved ones who sacrificed one of their very most precious gifts, one of their own. Those we honor with this memorial said by their sacrifice, you may take my life, but you cannot take my freedom. Freedom lives through those sacrifices. I recently heard of an 84, 85-year-old mother who's now in her retirement home. She was sitting alone, looking out the window, watching the snowflakes fall. No one had visited her for many months. But around her shoulder was a threadbare red and white and blue Afghan. It had been given to her by the USO. And in her hand she gently was holding a letter. Mrs. Pemberton, it said, I'm sorry to inform you. And the letter was dated 25 December 1942. 405,000 of those messages were sent in just World War II alone. And there have been so many since, some even today. So as we gather here at this moment, some relative, son, father, brother, aunt, uncle, are standing guard in Hellman's Providence, volunteering, if required, to serve and sacrifice. For a pilot risking his or her life to protect others. Maybe this Christmas a little boy or a little girl will say to her mother, their mother, "Why is Daddy not coming home for Christmas?" We very seldom ever mention the children who will have a lifetime, perhaps not fully understanding the sacrifice that was made. But we hope that for many communities all over America, and perhaps for the first time in our history, we'll be placing a memorial like this one to honor those who made the sacrifice of a loved one for all of us. These Gold Star Family Memorial Monuments, as grand as they are and as meaningful as they are, will not replace the loved one, or lessen the grief, or do away with the hurt. It'll still be there. But maybe it can give some peace and some solace to a loved one who can no longer be with us. I've been told many times by many folk that one of their greatest fears, if we could call it that, is that their loved one would be forgotten. But America must not forget. We must not ever forget. We won't forget. We never will. And as the winds lift high that banner under which they serve, let us lift our hearts in prayer to honor and remember for who they were and what they did and how we are blessed just because of that. We pray that God will bless every heart. Give them peace, and will continue to bless this place that we all call our home, America, the greatest in the world. Thank you very much.
Flag bearers, forward, march.